All right, calling the meeting to order at 9:33 a.m. And welcome everyone. Thanks for making your way on a snowy morning. I'll be moving into completion and acceptance of agenda, of which there are two additional motion or communications that would seek an amendment. I don't know if we'll be willing to add both. So moved by Commissioner Rahman, seconded by Commissioner Morgan, and that's to add the two letters, one from myself and one from Commissioner Pelosa. So it's moved and seconded. Any discussion on accepting those onto the agenda? No, we're under communication. Yeah. And I was going to put Commissioner Pelosa as number 3, and then I don't see any comments or questions, so I'll call a vote to approve the amended agenda. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, okay, that carries. So that's the amended agenda. Moving on to disclosures of pecuniary interest. I see none. And approval of minutes meeting held on October 27th, 2025. Motion to approve those moved by Commissioner Robbins, seconded by Commissioner Hopkins. Any comments or questions on those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? And that carries, so those minutes are approved. And then we're moving on to election of chair and vice chair for a term of December 1st, 2025 to November 16th, 2026. And would anyone like to nominate anyone? Commissioner Robbins?
I nominate Commissioner, I guess it's Commissioner Frank, Chair Frank, to stay on as chair.
Okay, thank you. I will accept the nomination. And then anyone else? Would anyone else like to be or to nominate anyone for chair? Your hints. Okay. No one else? Then I guess
it's just lead on user.
Seconder for
I'll
that.
second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hopkins. And I guess I'll call the vote, seeing that there's no one else. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so all in favor. And then moving on to vice chair. Any nominations for vice chair? Oh, I don't know why. Well, if there are no nominations from the floor, I'll nominate Commissioner Rahman for vice chair. You can choose to accept or not.
Sure, I'll just accept.
Okay, so Commissioner Rahman is nominated. Is there a seconder? Commissioner Morgan. Okay, and is there anyone else seeking vice chair role or would like to nominate anyone? Okay, seeing none, then all in favor? And any opposed? That carries as well. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone. I've enjoyed serving so far, and I look forward to another almost year. And thank you, Commissioner Rahman, as well for serving as vice chair. It's been really good work with you so far. So thank you, everyone. Okay, moving to presentations and delegations. There are none, and communication. So now we have communication 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll move to the first one, the 6th report of the Accessible Public Transit Advisory Committee. I do have a communication from Commissioner Trosso, who would like to amend the report to include a comment. So Commissioner Trosso, would you like to share what you would like to amend in the report? And you're muted if you are speaking.
Yes, Councillor Trosso moved, seconded by, I don't have that the member of the public seeking remote access to the meeting be provided with the link. Motion passed.
And so is that moved in the committee meeting, or would you like to move that it is reflected in the report that we are now having the committee link? Sorry, I'm just a bit confused as to the language.
Well, we had a we spent a lot of time on this. There was an issue as to whether or not people who are not on the committee could be given remote access. There was discussion about that. I questioned how many people had requested remote access who were seeking to get into the meeting. The response was 1. And I made the motion to allow that person to be given the link to the meeting. And that passed. And I'd like that reflected in the minutes.
Maybe I'll go to staff.
Through the chair, so the commission's dealing with the report, so it can be amended in this report. The actual amending of the minutes will have to happen at the advisory committee because they're the ones that approve their minutes.
Okay. Commissioner Tressa, so could we then do a motion to amend the report to include that there was a discussion, a motion regarding to allowing someone who wanted to attend the meeting to have the virtual link? And then that way you guys can amend the minutes at the next meeting? Because I don't think any of us at the commission, we didn't attend, so we're not able to second that one. Well, I wouldn't be able to because I don't know what transpired. So, but I'd be okay to amend the report to include that so that it could go back to the advisory committee.
Yes, that's fine with me. Let me just say as an aside, I think it would be a good idea if there was more clarity in terms of what the process was. I think it's a good idea for the advisory committee to be able to accept or change its own minutes, because as you correctly said, unless somebody else sits in, there's no way of knowing. So yes, that's fine.
Okay, so then the language would be motion to amend the report to include
That member of the public, pardon me, that member of the public seeking access to the meeting be provided with the link.
Okay, so that moved by Commissioner Trosso, seconded by Commissioner Rahman. Okay, and so to add that to the report, any comments?
Did ABSAC decide that they want to continue that practice and that will continue for future meetings, and therefore this is reflecting that?
Through the chair, so as we explained at the ABSAC meeting, we had put on pause, allowing the public to come in virtually while we were testing the system and how well it worked with ASL interpretation, and whether or not the ASL interpreters were in the room and the member of the pub or the member of the committee requiring those services was online or vice versa. So we wanted to get all of that testing and ensure that everything worked before we had people from the public also in that Zoom call that we were trying to manage. We explained that on the call. It appears that everything is working and effective going forward. We will allow, however, it will be through a request directly to the secretary of the committee, and we're going to ask advisory committee members not to just randomly share that link, because we do still need to maintain control over who is coming into that meeting, rather than just randomly letting, phone numbers join meetings that we're not sure who's on the other end. So that was all part and parcel of the discussion that happened at the advisory.
No, that's great. Thanks.
Okay, Commissioner Trosso?
Well, that's better than nothing, but I do want to point out that I think members of the public should be given the link without the necessity to identify yourself to the commission. If in fact this is a meeting that's open to the public, there is not a requirement of making that type of request, and members of the public should be able to get access to the meeting. We're obviously not being overwhelmed, and should we have like 200 people show up at once, so we will have to deal with that. But I think it's reasonable to give people in the public the opportunity to join the meeting without necessarily having to identify themselves first, because anybody could come sit in the gallery without having to identify themselves first, and that's our practice at council as well.
Thanks, Commissioner Trosso. At council, they do, if they want to join virtually, have to email the clerk because they have to get the Zoom link. And I think that's more of a cybersecurity issue, so you don't have people Zoom bombing. But I'll take your comments as comments unless you have anything specific you want to move. Because as you noted, at council, we do actually still require the same process.
Well, for now, so long as members of the public who make the request will be given the link, I'm okay for now, but I think we need to have a more fulsome discussion about these practices in the future.
Okay, great.
I'll leave it there for now.
Thank you. Staff have indicated that people will be given the link if they email. So, okay, so that has been amended. Any further comments on the minutes or report? Otherwise, I'll look for a motion to receive as amended. Moved by Commissioner Rahman, seconded by Commissioner Lehman. Any comments? So all in favor? And any opposed? That carries. We're now moving on to item number 2 from Commissioner Ronman regarding the general manager performance review process. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you for you that this is just the communication following up from our meeting last month. Just changing the timeline of the annual performance review to allow more time for the commission to have all this information. The review process to be expanded to include a broader consultation with managers and direct reports for the GM's performance review. And again, it's just to provide more inclusive process as we go forward for 2026. And then I think that this will give us kind of a good starting ground for the following.
All right, so you'd like to put that on floor? Okay, so moved by Commissioner Ronman. Thank you, that's good. And then a seconder for that? Commissioner Strasser. No, okay, not Commissioner Strasser. Someone else like to second it? Okay, Commissioner Morgan. And any questions or comments? Okay, Commissioner Strasser.
Yes, I generally support this. It's to include broader consultation with managers. Does that preclude, is the intention of this motion to preclude broader consultation with people other than managers? Because that's a little ambiguous for me.
Commissioner Ronman, I don't know if you.
Sure, so I guess to answer the commissioner's question, I think at this time, it was a matter of what resources we had available to us to be able to do this particular performance review. So if we expanded the scope broader to be more inclusive of other folks into the process, I think we probably need to look for external or other avenues for support. So this was just a way to broaden it for this year to make it more inclusive to include those that are at the managerial level, as well as the commission.
Commissioner Strasser.
Yeah, my problem with that is I don't want to preclude input and consultation with people who are not managers. I think that unduly narrows it.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Nope. All right, well, I've got a motion moved and seconded. If there are no further comments or questions, I'll call the vote. All in favor? And any opposed?
I'm voting no.
Okay, noted. And that carries. So moving on, I did have Commissioner Pelosi's item as number 3, which I guess we can still deal with it. I also, somebody told if you're running late or not. So there's a letter from Commissioner Pelosi in regards to seeking a resignation from London Transit Commission effective November 18th, 2025, in regards to her role due to her increased workload as incoming chair of Community Protective Services Committee. So I do have a notice or a motion to accept the resignation, and then there was some discussion if there are commissioners who want to make any additional motion in regards to our required complement. So perhaps I'll do them as 2 separate ones. So first would be a motion to accept Commissioner Pelosi's resignation. Moved by Commissioner Lehman and seconded by Commissioner Hopkins. Any, yes, she's not here, so be difficult to do comments or questions. So maybe I'll just call all in favor. And any opposed? And that carries. Okay, and then if there's any additional motions in regards to the commission complement. Yes.
Well, I think we should replace her. You want an odd number, right? So.
And Commissioner Morgan.
Or we can move the commission to 5, which would still be an odd number.
That's the other option. Yeah.
Okay, if you're 2 different opinions, I don't know, you guys have any language drafted? Or,
No.
or put All right, well, then I'll go to Commissioner Morgan.
Well, I think I mean, we can have a discussion on it. I think we should consider moving the commission back to 5 members. Or to 5 members of council. Obviously, there are people with other workloads, but that would be a request of council to change the bylaw, so it would ultimately be council's decision, but we could make that request of them to change the bylaw. Again, they could reject it and add a member, they could accept it and determine who the 5 would be, but my preference would be to put a motion on the floor to make the commission 5.
Okay, so would you like to move that the commission requests council to amend the bylaw to require 5 members of council serve on the commission? Okay,
Yeah.
So moved by Commissioner Morgan. Is there a seconder for that motion? Seconded by Commissioner Lehman. All right, and any questions or discussion on that motion? Move down to 5. None, then I'll call the vote. All in favor of that request? And any opposed? Okay, that carries. So, will we be able to send that communication to council and then have a discussion? So I'll go through, I guess, the future SPPC, I imagine. All right. Wonderful. Okay, thank you for that. And then moving on to next item, communication number 4. So this is more added one. So, I'll probably leave the chair and pass it to Commissioner Rahman at this point, and then I'd be happy to introduce it under the.
Thank you, I can share. Go ahead, Jen.
Thank you. So I did circulate to the commission, and so apologies for not making the deadline of the meeting agenda. But a request for consideration to seek additional service hours. So as folks know, we get 18,000 hours a year from the city council through the budget. And given the conversations that I've been having over the last month through our service review, it's very apparent to me that there's in my opinion, a requirement to add additional hours. Folks have let us know that the need is great, and I'm hearing a lot from different stakeholders that they would like more frequent and reliable service. And I think that in order to do that, we need to increase our service hours. We have 24,000 service hours that we're looking at, only 18,000 to implement. So I'm seeking support from the commission to add 2,000 extra hours, which would bring us up to 20,000 hours and allow us to look at some of the other hours that we have proposed through next year's service improvements. Couple of things to note. So they wouldn't start until September, which means that the cost for the fall, and again, based on financial information from staff, so thank you, that would be $119,000 for the fall. But for the full calendar year for 2027 would be $295,000, go up to from 18,000 to 20,000. So I do know that Commissioner Roman, you had a motion that you wanted to build on that. So I would be happy to let you put down the floor, but you have the chair, so I don't know if we want to pass the chair to someone else.
Commissioner, Lehman, would you take the chair for me?
So I now have the chair and I'll go to Commissioner Robin.
So your motion was moved, was it seconded first? Sorry.
I don't believe,
I haven't voted
I don't
anything.
believe
You
there's
haven't
a
voted.
motion on
Okay.
the floor.
Yeah.
There's no motion.
There's still a vote.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Andrew. So there isn't a motion moved or seconded yet, but just in looking at this motion for the additional 2,000 hours, my question to staff would be, is there an opportunity for the 2026 funding to come as one time out of the reserve at 115,000?
I'll go staff.
Yeah, through the chair, I think the most appropriate reserve would be the general operating reserve. That year end, it had $4.4 million in it.
Also, or Commissioner.
Thank you. So, I would only support the additional 2,000 hours if we were to take the 2026 allocation out of the general operating fund. And then for 2027, I would be comfortable forwarding that to council as a budget amendment. But I would like it being noted, and it being noted that the commission will seek opportunity to fund the 2027 allocation through surplus. Just as we handed back 700,000 this year, we have the opportunity to look for potential ways to pay for this in 2027 as well. So that would be an amendment that I would be looking to put forward, should you put that motion forward.
So Commissioner, are you making a motion?
Or
Could be,
put it on
we do
here.
not have a motion on the floor.
Okay, okay, well, I'm happy to move the additional 2,000 hours with those quantifiers around the
Okay.
2026 allocation coming out of surplus and the
As a
2027.
budget amendment.
Yes, being submitted as a budget amendment, but with it being noted that we will first seek the opportunity to fund that through our surplus.
Okay, so I'll look for a second.
I'm willing to second it. I have a question, or just a clarification question.
Go ahead.
So in 2027, given this motion, the order of operations would be, let's see if we can fund it ourselves. And if we can't, then we would submit the business case. If we could fund some of it, we would submit the business case for the additional. Like, I just want to understand the second part of the motion. If that's the case, then I'd second it. If we're just submitting it and then saying, like, I think there's an order of operations here where we try first and then we go. Is that how that would be operationalized?
I'll go to the mover.
I'm comfortable with either, so.
So basically, what I'm hearing is that two-part, one, 2026 is funded for reserve. Second part is one, we look first to fulfilling the request for extra hours through other funding methods internally. Not finding that, then I would be to look at presenting this as a budget amendment for the 2027 budget. Is that correct?
Thank you. Just to clarify, can I ask a question?
Sure.
For you to
Yeah.
staff? Do we need a notwithstanding our policy on a reserve fund that we will allow this for an additional year? Because I think we're not necessarily supposed to take operating dollars out of reserve for this purpose, but I just want to understand if we need anything to say notwithstanding our own.
I'll go to staff for that.
Through the chair, so two things. No, the general operating reserve is pretty generic. I mean, it's for essentially looking for funding for items that the commission deems a priority within a budget year to avoid having to go back to the city, so that you don't need anything specific to that. But to the other discussion, I think it's most appropriate then that no budget amendment goes forward to the city at this point, and that it would be dealt with as part of the 2027 budget exercise, and then a determination would be made, because I think it's going to be very confusing to
Yeah.
forward something to council that says we might need money and we might not, so.
So if we don't forward it, then I have to do it that way. I'll second the motion.
Thank you. I'm happy to put it forward that way.
And then I'll speak to it when it comes around.
Okay, so Commissioner, are you comfortable now with the language that we have?
Yes, I'm very.
Okay, so I'll look for a seconder on that motion. Commissioner Morgan, okay, and I'll go to you for comments.
Yeah, so I'm supportive of the additional hours, especially doing it this way. I think that council has kind of said we might want you to think about a couple of additional things. The service to the micro modular shelters is an example of one. Over the next couple of years, there may be an ask to see if there could be some level of weekend service. I know there are other needs as outlined in Councillor Frank's letter. I think providing some capacity for some additional service, recognizing that our staff will have to determine what the highest and best use of those dollars are, or the most appropriate use are. I'm comfortable with that. I also like the approach of using the reserve fund and then seeing if we can absorb it. We had about, I think it was a $1.8 million that we saw in savings. Now we had some costs associated with that, but netted out about 700,000 that we returned to council. Assuming fuel prices are relatively stable, I'm also comfortable that maybe we aren't returning as much to council in 2027 because this cost is something we have to absorb. Maybe the situation is different, but I like the approach of seeing if the commission can try to absorb that first before going back to council with a budget amendment. And so I'm comfortable with that. I also think that gets us, a time frame that we can see what the hours are doing and how they're helpful. So I'll support this. If it was submit a budget amendment, I probably wouldn't support it this time. I just wait to the next multi-year budget.
Okay, I'll go to Commissioner Hopkins.
Yeah, thank you. I do have a couple questions. I'm generally supportive. I like the changes that have been made, that we're not, that we're doing it step by step, given there is a need. There's lots of units in areas in the city that we're building lots, and we need ways to move around, and the demand, I think, is only going to become greater. So I like the increase in the service hours. So question number one, does that include the specialized hours. I'm not exactly sure when we say extra hours, what exactly are we referring to?
I'll go to Ms. Pelisi.
Through the chair, no, this is dealing specifically with the conventional service plan. There is a report later on the agenda today that's talking about allocating the specialized hours, and we believe that what's being allocated for specialized is adequate for 2026.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yeah, thank you for that. And given that we've already made some decisions for 2027, is that going to be relooked at if we do take it step by step and do these increases? I just don't want to I want to make sure what we've already decided on. I know it's a draft to date for 2027, but just wanted to see how that works going forward.
Ms. Pelisi.
I think you're referring to 2026. So the service plan that's on the table right now that the commission has approved in principle is for the 2026 changes. So those would happen in the fall of 2026. And as the chair indicated earlier, you approved in principle 24,000 hours that we were endeavoring to cut down to 18. This amendment would mean that we would only cut it down to 20. So we would be including additional things in the final recommendation that comes back.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. It is 2026, not 2027. We're not really deciding anything right now for 2027. I just want to confirm that.
I believe Ms. Pelisi did, but
Yep.
if you want.
Yeah, no, I'm
Okay.
just thinking outside my head here. But I do appreciate the motion going forward.
Okay, thank you. I'll look for other speakers. Commissioner Frank.
Thank you. I'll support the request to pull from our reserves for next year and hopefully in 2027. Well, I guess in 2027 we'll be setting our new, whoever is on council, no?
It's 1 year.
One more year? Okay, so I guess we can revisit, but I think personally, I'd like more than even 20,000 hours, but again, this is, I feel like an incremental thing where we're just bumping it up slowly. My understanding is we have 300,000 unfulfilled service hours in our planning report, so I think that as we continue to build on that, I think it will improve the service for riders, which I think is our priority. So I will support it for this year because I think that it's important we continue to build every year. So ideally though, long term, I'm hoping council will pay for this service and investment, but appreciate the motion from Commissioner Rob.
Okay, I'll look for other speakers. Motion. Comment from the chair, presiding chair. I'm more comfortable in this direction. We have a multi-year budget for a purpose. We already addressed 2026, so this makes sense to me. I understand the pressures that Commissioner Frank is referring to. So yeah, I think this is the way to go in a multi-year budget environment. Okay, I'll look for any other comments or questions. Seeing none, we have a motion moved and seconded. All in favor? Unanimous. Now I'll pass the chair back to Commissioner.
Thank you, appreciate that. I'm sorry it was late again. I do leave next time. If there's a next time, I'll get it all time. Okay, so that's all the communications. Moving to consent items. There are 4. I do know that item number 2, there is an amendment for that. So unless there's any other amendments for 1, 3, or 4, I'd take a motion to receive 1, 3, and 4, and then we can comment or questions. Moved by Commissioner Lehman, seconded by Commissioner Rahman. So item 1, 3, and 4 are on the floor. If there's any comments or questions in regards to this. Okay. Seeing none, I have those moved and seconded. So all in favor of receiving those consent items? And any opposed? Seeing none, that carries. So then item number 2 from consent items is on the floor. Commissioner Rahman.
Thank you. I just had a motion related to this item, and I'll treat it as read for the purpose of the motion. So the motion reads that the chair write a letter to area MP seeking clarification on funding, highlighting areas where LTC would be seeking funding support and through which streets.
Okay, so motion to receive the report and have that as direction, moved by Commissioner Rahman, seconded by Commissioner Morgan. Any discussion on that? Would you like to speak? Okay, Commissioner Morgan?
I'll speak to it. I think this is a good, this is a good addition. For context, when the government reprofiled $51 billion into an infrastructure fund, it wasn't $51 billion new money. It was a bunch of reprofiled money, including the permanent transit fund, but as well as the old gas tax money, and it's been renamed yet again, and other pieces. There's also money in there that is basically a wash for municipalities on lower development charges, but we're going to pay for them. So that money's in there too. The net new money is actually not a lot in the 51 billion. So I think clarifying what is a stated government priority of, listen, we want to fund transit on a permanent, stable basis. This was work that both transit agencies lobbying and the Canadian Federation of Municipalities said is necessary, like long-term, stable, permanent funding, so that we can make predictable multi-year decisions on capital and growth. It's really critical. So given this is all rolled together, I think the clarity on what that actually looks like, both for applying in the short term as well as how it plays out over the next 10 years, is actually really critical to us being able to plan properly. So this is just one piece of that 51 billion that is, I think, clarity needs to be sought on. I can tell you that other entities like the Federation of Canadian Municipalities are seeking clarity on the other pieces too. And I think the joint advocacy that we can continue to do as municipal organizations and transit organizations is kind of critical on this. So letting the local MPs know that we have some questions about this, I think it's just the first step in some advocacy on this file. So I think this is a good motion. I'm very supportive of it.
Any comments or questions? Yeah.
Just one on the motion, and it wouldn't be LTC that sought funding, it would be the city. So I just think you just want to be specific there, because we can't directly apply for federal funding. So it's a minor tweak, but.
You're good with that correction?
Absolutely.
Great.
That's fine.
Further, I'll just make a few comments on the chair. I'd be happy to do this, so thank you for thinking of it. And I will also be happy to probably ask staff to do the bulk of the writing as I rely on your expertise. But yeah, I think this is really important for us to raise with our counterparts. Okay. So I've moved and seconded. Any further comments or questions? If not, I'll call the vote. All in favor? And any opposed? That carries. Okay, so consent items, moving on to items for direction. So up first, we have the 2026 specialized service plan. All right, there's some recommendations from staff to approve a variety of additional service hours. So to get that on the floor, may I get a motion to approve the staff recommendations? So moved by Commissioner Rahman, seconded by Commissioner Morgan. And any comments or questions in regards to the report and the service plan improvements? Commissioner Rahman?
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to staff for the report. Once again, we're revisiting this and appreciate the consultation again that was done. And I agree that this is a step in the right direction as we move forward. I know there are additional unmet demands, and I know that that's a challenge, an ongoing challenge that we will hear from riders. But I do think that right now this will help to address the majority of the concerns we're hearing between the Monday and Thursday, the day up to 6 p.m., as well as some of those additional hours during high seasons or festivals, and then through statutory holidays.
Thank you. Commissioner Morgan?
A question. So as stated in the report, this is an addition the council put in for the multi-year budget to add 10,000 hours based on feedback that I think both the commission has received over the years, as well as councilors have received. With the approval of this and the clarification of it, like how do we communicate this out to the public, both from the perspective of people who may be utilizing the service, as well as the general public, for letting them know that we are, both continuing to make the investment in specialized service, as well as, how we're making that investment. So is there like a release we do, or is there a communication that goes out to the regular specialized transit users to let them know about these changes? How do we normally do that?
through the chair, with the specialized, typically there's not been a media release per se. It essentially, and you'll see in the report, it equates to, a few extra vehicles being on the road.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it equates in that people can get trips, but we've never really broadly, put a push out like we do for conventional, because conventional, we're looking for feedback on specific routes or, the potential impact it could have on someone's trip, where this is really just adding more service to the problem areas. It's certainly something we can look at, but traditionally we've not done a big campaign with respect to the fact that we've added hours.
I think we could consider it, and the only reason I think so is because it was a relatively public discussion about the perceived difficulties with the paratransit service within the city, particularly the discussion that happened in city council, which did get some coverage. The fact that we're taking action on it based on consultation and adding specific hours in this way, I think is an appropriate loop back to the public discussion to say, yeah, we have done this, and here's how we did it. And so we're working to make improvements in the space, and only because there was such an amount of public attention to it in the past. It was funded in the multi-year budget, and this is the implementation of it. So, I mean, I'd be happy to, if the commission's comfortable in doing that work with the city to coordinate something appropriate to put out about this at the appropriate time. But I mean, we can have that discussion. We don't have to decide in this moment, but unless anybody has an objection to pursuing that, I think that we could look into doing that.
Okay, Commissioner Rowland?
Thank you. I appreciate the discussion because I think it's actually really important to highlight that. It might be worthwhile to put that in with the additional 2,000 hours, so we have kind of a broader release to say, here's what we've agreed to for the upcoming year. I know that we've agreed to where yet, but that we're agreeing to the additional 2,000 hours as well.
Sure, so
I think that's communication, from the commission, not just, so it could be joint, but I do think it has to cover.
Sure.
I would just suggest that they be separate, only because I think you can highlight the fact that the 2,000 was added when we announce what the actual service changes are going to be, because we do communicate that. So that program always happens once we've got approval, we share that widely, and we could include that the commission, up that to 20,000 at that point, but then there's specifics that we can point to, where right now it would just be, oh, we've added 2,000, but we don't really know what we're going to use it for. So I think it would be best to keep them separate, and it really is, in a lot of cases, different audiences as well.
And two good news stories is better than one.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a desire from the commission to have some sort of communication strategy for both separately, and it sounds like the specialized transit one will go first.
Yes, because it would take effect in January, where the conventional isn't until next fall, but we would announce it once it's all approved.
Okay,
And I'm happy to coordinate the side with the city, because it is as a council direction to implement it. So I think that this would be something that is done jointly and pushed out to a wider audience as well.
great. And do you feel like you need any direction, or you'll just make this under advisement?
It's up to the, I mean, we can do this without a motion, but if you want,
Great,
one, that's fine
I
too.
think it's easy. Okay, great. Thank you for highlighting that. Any other comments or questions? Anyone online? Seeing none. Okay, so we've got a motion moved and seconded regarding the recommendations from staff and specialized transit plan. So I'll call the vote on that. All in favor? And any opposed? So that carries. Thank you very much. I'm sure many people look forward to these improvements. Thank you. Moving to accessibility plan. So there's a recommendation from the commission to approve the accessibility plan and direct administration to post it on the commission's website. So I'll look for a motion to approve and direct. Moved by Commissioner Lehman and seconded by Commissioner Morgan. Okay, and any comments, questions on that? Commissioner Robin?
Thank you. I just had a question regarding the requirement for public meeting and whether or not the public engagement that we did at the library qualifies as a public.
Through the chair, I have had follow-up discussions with the accessibility director when they've done tabletop audits, explained how we have our meetings, shared with them the results, and they have indicated that they believe that's compliant. There's been no compliance issues raised.
Thank you.
I'm wondering if I can, amend the recommendation to say it is noted that the public meeting requirement was fulfilled through our, open house format on such dates.
Okay, so you'd like to move a motion to add it being noted that the public meeting question was, or the requirements was met. Okay. Do you have that language?
The public meeting met, sorry, do you mind just repeating it one more time? It being noted that the public meeting held on.
November 6th, room. We build the service requirement.
Yes. Service.
Okay. Okay. Everyone has that language, so that's moved by Commissioner Rahman. Seconder for that, if you notice, Commissioner Morgan. Okay, so now just discussing the if you noted. Would you like to speak to it?
Thank you. I just, want to ensure that that's what we need to do to fulfill the requirement. Hearing that it is, I just wanted to be noted that that was captured in the discussion because, I just want to make sure that we're in step.
Great. Sure.
I just want to make sure, Ms. Pelleggi, did you have I saw your hand kind of go up there, I just want to go some words.
Through the chair, I think that number 3 would have been more appropriate on the annual accessibility plan update where we're talking about compliance with 2025, noting that this is actually talking about a plan going forward, but it's, I mean, it doesn't really matter. It would have made more sense back there, but if you want it noted, it can be here as well. It's just, this is a looking forward. This isn't looking back.
If you like to change the language at all to say like it being noted our annual. Like moving forward, that is
Yes.
how we are using
Yeah.
that as our annual. Okay, so let's amend that because that's a good
Just take
point.
November 6th.
Yeah, take November 6th out and say it being noted, that's how we fulfill that requirement is through our annual, what do you call them? Annual service.
Public drop-in.
Public drop-in. Okay, thank you. Okay, so, and you're good with that, great. Any further comments? Just on the amendment, so then all in favor of that additional language? And any opposed? So that carries, so that's now as amended. Any further comment on the accessibility plan? Seeing none, so I'm a mover and seconder on that. The announcement is great. Okay, then all in favor? And any opposed, so that carries. Again, thank you to staff for on that as well. Okay, moving to rider advisory panel, so there's a recommendation to receive for information, but I'm aware of a desired motion, so perhaps benefit to receive as well. Commissioner Rahman?
Thank you. So, this discussion arose from communication that I submitted back in June around having a rider advisory panel. The reason for that was looking at other transit commissions. I saw that there was more opportunity for robust feedback that I thought would be helpful to inform some of the decisions that we are making. So with that in mind, I'd like to move the recommendation that's here that the report be received for informational purposes, but also that the rider advisory panel, ridership advisory committee, however we want to position that we move forward with the work. And so I guess I'm looking for discussion as to how we do that, because the recommendation that's in here, or the language that's in here around the rider advisory panel, with the terms of reference, I'm supportive of, and would like to move forward with. But I just would like the opportunity to put that forward so that we can have discussion.
Okay, so that is moved by Commissioner Rahman. And the language being that the rider advisory, I'm gonna say committee, let's see which one is the panel?
I think panel fits with the terms of reference that's in front of us.
Okay, rider advisory panel move forward, so it's not specific to what that looks like, but perhaps now we have a discussion on that. Is there a seconder for that? Seconded by Commissioner Morgan?
Yeah.
Any questions or discussion on what that could look like, or? Commissioner Rahman?
Thank you. So outlined in the report, it does have a terms of reference. In it says that we were looking to regular riders, and that the panel could be asked for their feedback through surveys, and that there's methodology in there around how those surveys should go out, whether or not we have a more expensive option where you go out to specific targeted groups, or if you just have a kind of email listserv that you basically send to everybody whenever there is a survey to be completed on a route, or on a change or on something specific. So I'm just open to more discussion on what this could look like, but I think the goal overall is that we need to hear more from riders, and we do at the open house and other ways, but I do think that it's a bit too long in between. And I know that people can come to us and share their feedback, and I think they do. But I also think that being prompted to do it versus them having to come to us when there is a complaint is helpful, just from the perspective of getting more feedback. And part of the reason why this is here is also because right now we're populating the commission with members of council and without the public. And so this is a way, while we're trying to figure out what the governance structure will be, for the public to have more opportunities to say.
Thank you. Yeah, for sure. I will.
Are we deciding that terms of reference right now, or? Cause I'll just tell my 2 cents, and I feel it's better for advisory committees on an ad hoc basis. We need some information. Here's what we're looking at. Give us your feedback, what you think. My fear is when you have a regular ongoing advisory committee, it's the same issues that will just keep coming up again and again and again and again, and it gets watered down. So for what it's worth, when that input is needed, that's my 2 cents.
Right, Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Roman, and then Commissioner Hopper.
Yeah, so I understand Commissioner Lehman's concerns. For me, and the way I read the terms of reference, and if this is not the way that it works, then this is why I think the motion is to continue the work. So I think us getting out our perspectives here will help inform what this looks like. So my perspective is, I actually don't want what Councillor Lehman is concerned about, like a regular group who's meeting all the time and it's the same people. I think like a pool of people who are willing to fill out surveys, who are riders from time to time, as we may need to see it, is like, it's just a group of volunteers who are willing to receive emails. And you know, you can get people on an email list by, I'm not saying we should do this, but like give them a free ride one day if they share their email or something, like something like that, right? At the events we have, you can sign up. And all it would be is, guess what? The commission needs a survey on item X. Great, we have a pool of 987 people who are willing to take surveys, and we blast one out to get some response. Is that the way we make decisions? No. Is it a piece of information that we can use to make decisions? For sure. But I don't want this to be onerous on staff. It should be like, there's lots of software that manages this very well. There's even free software that manages this very well, or with very low cost. And it's basically an opportunity to survey, you know, broad-based group, kind of like people who are willing to share. Might be people who are unhappy with the service, might be people who are happy with the service, but just be general riders. And so I wouldn't get too stuck up on the membership of the group either. Like, I think people who want to give feedback on transit might be good. And if someone's not a transit user, maybe their perspective's not bad either. As we think about expanding routes, they may not be a transit user because it's inconvenient in their area. And so if we're surveying on something, maybe that is an improvement in that area, we kind of want that feedback. So I think the general terms of reference is okay, but for me, this is much more of a, this is not an active thing that the ridership advisory panel would be doing every day. It's something that they would check in on once in a while when need be on an ad hoc basis.
Thank you, and Commissioner Roman, then Hopkins.
Oh, thank you. I was just wanting to clarify that I'm following the terms of reference that are written in the report. for the suggestion around membership, which should include both surveys to specialized and conventional, as well as that the members' expectation is an ad hoc survey, and that those survey results will be shared on the corporate website, et cetera, as outlined.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, for recognizing me, and Commissioner Rahman's on her motion. As much as I appreciate the direction of this motion, for me, I hear that we need more input from riders, but we're also going through the governance structure. And when I read the report, I felt that we're not there yet. I would rather see the new governance model go forward with something like this. And in the meantime, the survey, the more we could better communicate the survey and get further input is something that we can still work on. I think there's avenues that we're already doing here, but I do think it's a little premature, given that we are going to go through another change, another structure of the commission. And but I do appreciate the motion when it comes to hearing more from riders. Not so much from the public, but from riders. Maybe we can do a little bit more work when it comes to the communication and the survey that we already have out there.
Commissioner Trassa?
Thank you very much. I think Commissioner Hopkins just made a really good point, which is for now, interim measures might be okay, but I don't want to preclude the creation of a more formal Riders Advisory Committee, in particular under the heading LTC Rider Advisory Panel, where it says that the creation of a panel similar to APT SAC is not recommended by administration. I want to say I squarely reject that. And I would not want to have that be something that we're saying we agree with. I think it's something we need. I think it's something that we badly need. And I don't want to preclude coming back to that. I think that the terms of reference is a good start, but I think more work needs to be done on that. So I'd like to see when we go over to the new structure, which is still to be determined, I do think there's more work that needs to be done on this. Since I agree with Councillor Hopkins that it might be premature to do that with any level of great specificity right now, I'm not going to put forward another motion. But I just wanted to state for the record that I disagree with the statement in here that this is not needed. I think it is needed. I think we're hearing time and time again from riders of the regular service that there's a lot of dissatisfaction with certain aspects of the service, and I think we need to be more responsive to the public. So I think for now, I'm just going to leave it at that. Thank you.
I do have a couple of questions for the chair, Commissioner Roman. So the language around this motion is to move forward. So I am also, I personally would rather have this come back to us again with more information, because I don't feel like I think this is the start of a terms of reference, but not a final one. So I'm just wondering, your intention for moving forward, what are you hoping staff come report back? Like, what are you hoping to receive for future discussions?
Thank you. I was hoping to receive a report back as to how this be implemented based on just working with those terms of reference. So we're open to amending that.
Report back. Okay, so I would then make a motion then to add and have a report back from staff at a future date. I think I've heard some comments from folks online that there's a desire to have something, but perhaps not necessarily this, and perhaps not until after the governance review process. So I would also be interested in having a report back on maybe fleshing this out a little bit more and having a more fulsome terms of reference provided for future discussion. Yes.
Just through the chair, we do indicate in here that if the commission wishes to move forward, this would be an item that would be added to the 2026 work program, which the commission receives in January in draft and helps us prioritize timing and such of initiatives. So that would be the first step. And then once those timings have been established and that, then you would have an idea of when you could expect that report back.
Okay, wonderful. I feel a lot more comfortable with that then, so I won't add this amendment. Sounds like it would come back. I'll just say a few comments from the chair. So I generally agree, like I want to hear more from folks, and I do know, thank you to staff for listing all the different ways that we receive engagement feedback, delegations, annual surveys, topical surveys. I think still at this point, people do want to share and not everyone feels comfortable sending an email to commissioners or to staff. So I think having something where we're going out and soliciting input is helpful. I also am particularly interested. I know that there's a reference at the end of the third page in regarding having to do some sort of mailing list software. I personally think it is a good move in the future for transit to move towards having some sort of e-newsletter. I do know that that is more engagement and more work for staff, but I think having some mailing list platform and software is important for us. Most of the agency boards and commissions that either I serve on or that we have some sort of external newsletter. I think that's important for keeping people updated because a lot of people aren't on social media and might not follow the news. So I see this kind of heading in that direction where we might start to have people's emails and ask for their input, but also provide information. So I'm comfortable with this moving forward and then having to report back to deliberate along with the future. So I think Commissioner Rahman for bringing forward. So my comments. So any further comments or questions? Everyone's clear? Okay. Then I'll call the vote. All in favor? And any opposed? Okay, noting one opposition. Commissioner Hawkins. Okay, and that carries. All right. No, here's fun. Okay, and moving on to communication engagement strategy. Again, thank you to staff for bringing this forward. And there's a recommendation to direct administration to include all short-term recommendations as set up below and to make an inventory of all longer-term considerations for future work programs. So I don't know if someone wants to make a motion to put that on the order. Commissioner Rahman. Okay, we'll put, do you want to put on the floor with them then?
Yes,
Okay, so would you like to,
I'd like to add an III.
Okay. That
staff be directed to apply for candidates on the job students for the purpose of increasing.
okay,
Could you say that again?
Sorry, that staff be directed to apply for Canada summer job students for the purpose of engaging at summer events.
did you hear that, Commissioner Tressa? Yes, great, okay, so that's moved by Commissioner Rahman. So the three items plus the amendment, is there a seconder for that? Commissioner Lehman? And would you like to speak to it or, no, okay, great. Any comments or questions on the items and the amendment? None, okay, then, the only comment or question I had that no one else can go, would be, I'm just wondering, have we ever had a cancer job student at LTC? No. That's all, I'm just curious. I've had them before. Usually. Great, all right, yes, Commissioner Robin?
Sorry, for the purpose of the language clarity, I don't mean just one.
Okay, multiple.
You don't want one person at a booth.
Yeah. Got it. Oh, yeah. Make sure multiple. Great. All right, then all in favor? And any opposed? That carries. There we go. I look forward to following on Instagram and tagging LTC on Instagram. Okay, now moving on to item 9, Ontario Ombudsman closed meeting investigation. So the recommendation is the commission confirm its support for 5 recommendations made in the report, noting that audio and video recordings of closed meetings was introduced effective the October 2025. So is there someone who'd like to, Commissioner Trosser, would you like to move that? No, okay. Would someone like to move it or? Councilor Hopkins, would you like to move it? Good question. Okay, moved by Commissioner Hopkins, seconded by Commissioner Rahman. Thank you, and Commissioner Trasso, comments or questions?
Yes, reading through the public report that we received on our open agenda, I have a lot of questions in my mind still about what this was about and what happened. And I'd like to understand that. And my sense is that would not be something that we would discuss in open session, because if it was something that we could discuss in open session, there would have been more such detail in the ombudsman's report. So my question for the chair and the commission is, would it be appropriate at this time for us to recess into, very briefly, recess into closed session so we could be given a just quick summary of the backstory in terms of what this was about? And I'm going to just leave that with the chair.
Okay, so to clarify, Commissioner Trasso, we'd like to go into closed session to discuss what occurred in a previous closed session. Is that correct? Sorry, you're muted, which you could.
That is exactly correct.
Okay, I'm not sure, like I'd have to look up to see why, if we're allowed to go into closed session to discuss previous closed session. Like part of the recommendations from the ombudsman were to be very clear about what matters we're dealing with in closed session. So I'm not sure, do we have a list of reasons for closed session? Yeah.
Some assistance, the reasons would be exactly the reason why the commissioner did not go into the additional detail, because it deals with an identifiable person. And doing it in open session right now would require disclosing things about the identifiable person, which would be inappropriate in an open session.
Yeah. I'm just. Yeah, Commissioner Trasso, so I'm just trying to think if that is a valid reason to go into closed session, and I'm not sure if it is. But I also don't want to preclude us if it is a valid reason.
Well,
So,
it's either a reason to go into closed session, or we can have that discussion in open session. And I'm happy to go either way, but I would like to get the additional information so I can better understand this. Whether it's an open session or closed session is a secondary consideration for me. I'm just trying to respect the idea that there was an identifiable person here that was involved. So either way, however you rule, I would like to get some more information on this.
okay, I'm gonna just quickly read this, think about it for 1 second. Yeah, I mean, so it does say we're allowed to have closed session for personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal employees. But it's like from a previous committee and previous complaint. The other one being an ongoing investigation respecting the municipality of Ontario Ombudsman, although it's a closed investigation now. So I would feel personally as the chair, I feel more comfortable if you want to go into closed session, I'd rather go into closed session at a future meeting to have this discussion with better language and having discussed this with perhaps the ombudsman, if we're allowed to go into closed session for this. Just at first blush, I don't feel like super confident going to closed session. It's not on the agenda. I'm not confident that we have the language we need. And like literally in this ombudsman report, it indicates that we shouldn't go into closed meetings unless we're confident that the items that we want to discuss in closed should be. So I prefer to have this on a future meeting agenda. But again, I can't preclude you from making a motion if you would like to make a motion to go into closed session, although it's not on the agenda, but I would allow at this point if you want to make that motion.
Well, it,
Right language or.
yeah, the matter is on the agenda and a question emerged during the discussion that may require closed session. However, I don't want to push the point now. I'm very happy to have this discussion at the next meeting. If I think you can put that on the next agenda without the need for a motion with the appropriate language.
Okay, I'm gonna go to Commissioner Morgan.
So I have some concerns about the approach that's being suggested. The ombudsman's report is not about the personnel matters and the identifiable individual. It's about, did they go into camera under the proper closed meeting rules, which said, yes, they did, but probably could have done the language better. Maybe should record meetings and have a procedure for going to closed session. It is not a report about an investigation about an identifiable individual or a personnel matter. It is about the whole process of going into closed session. So from my perspective, we can address the ombudsman's report and say, yes, let's take the recommendations. If the commission wants to go back and revisit a personnel matter about an identifiable individual, that would be a completely separate matter from this. And I'm not sure of the necessity or rationale for doing that, because I'm not aware of a reason why we would want to go back and revisit something that I'm not sure isn't already dealt with in some meaningful way. So for me, I'm glad that the chair has said, let's stick to the ombudsman's report. I'm not sure this should just be placed on the next agenda, because I don't know what we'd be placing on the next agenda. I'm not sure that there's a reason that we need to delve into the matter further, because the matter of that issue is not a concern that the ombudsman had. It was simply, did they go into closed meeting for the proper reasons? So I'm not sure how to proceed with that, but I think at this meeting we're okay. I would urge the chair to be super cautious about adding something. Maybe the chair can have a discussion with administration to see the appropriateness of re-bringing up a personnel issue, whether that's necessary or not, and then decide whether or not we'll go on a future agenda. Because I don't want to bring something up that might be not necessary and reiterate a discussion. So because again, I don't think that personnel issue is what caused the ombudsman report. It's about the process associated with going in camera. Those are my comments.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Morgan. I see Commissioner Trotz has your hand up again.
Yeah, so I'm trying to work with people on this. Would I, as somebody who was not privy to the closed meeting in the past, but would be privy to a closed meeting today, be able to come into the office and listen to the tape? Because that would satisfy my concern about getting more information. And of course, that would be confidential, and I guess I would be searched to make sure I don't have any media on me. But that would satisfy me if I could come into the office and listen to the tape.
So Commissioner Trust has indicated in the ombudsman report, closed meetings were not recorded in the past and are going to be recorded now moving forward. So there is no tape.
Yeah.
So, but I might suggest something. So Commissioner Trust, how about you and I have a conversation after this meeting and have a discussion about if there's a way we can provide this information to you in future within the parameters of being able to have a closed meeting or in confidence. So why don't we talk about it? Because I feel like at this point, I'm not going to entertain a motion. I think the Commissioner Morgan made a good point. I do think it's separate, but I don't want to not get you information that you need or is relevant. So I just feel at this point, it's not relevant to the matter at hand, and we need better language if we're going to bring it forward, because I don't want to get in another ombudsman investigation. So is that okay, Commissioner Trossa?
As you just stated it, yes, that's okay, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you. Well, I'll be in touch. Okay. So any further comments or questions on the ombudsman report? No, has the recommendation moved and seconded. So all in favor? And any opposed? So that carries. And moving on to item number 10, the Commission 2026 Commission meeting dates. So continuing on Mondays at 9:30 a.m. There's a list of them here. You'll notice November is not on there as there is no time between election and appointment to have one of those meetings. Yeah, any comments or questions concerns on the meeting dates? Okay, seeing none, then a motion to confirm the dates, moved by Commissioner Lehman, second by Commissioner Rahman. And seeing no hands up, all in favor? And any opposed? Well, I see one opposition, but it carries. Great. Okay, so it's everything. So our next meeting date is Monday, January 6th at 9:30 a.m. There's no December meeting, but look forward to those who are able to attend the holiday events in December. I'm looking forward to it greatly, and otherwise, then I will call for motion to adjourn.
No, wait a minute. You said that there was an opposition to the last motion, and I want to make sure that you weren't counting me because my hand was up, but you might have.
Not counting you, Commissioner Chassa.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, motion to adjourn. I moved by Commissioner Robin, second by Commissioner Lehman, all in favor? And that carries. Okay, thank you, everyone, and safe travels today as you leave. Well done. Thanks. This is why you're on for another year. Oh. Good.